from Abu Sa'id Khudri radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And he said, أنه قال في حجة الوداع, in Hajjatul Wada, the last sermon of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this was the message. So you know, in last sermon of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, around 124,000 roughly Sahaba Kiram participated, and they did Hajj with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In some hadith, even the detail is given in Masjid Khayf. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he is given his very famous khutbah, and some point mentioned in one hadith, some point mentioned in other hadith. So one message of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam which is mentioned here, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Naddar Allahu imra'an sami'a maqalati." May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fresh or beautify the face of someone who sami'a maqalati. May Allah make his face shine, beautify his face, who heard my words, fawa'aha, and then understand it. In some other hadith, because this hadith is narrated by more or less 20 Sahaba, Imam Tirmizi mentioned, Ibn Majah mentioned, Musnad Abu Ya'la, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. So in some hadith they say, فَحَفِظَهَا وَوَعَاهَا حَفِظَهَا وَبَلَّغَهَا. Understand and memorize it, and then he conveyed it. But here is only mentioned فَوَعَاهَا, he understand it. فَرُبَّ حَامِلِ فِقْهٍ لَيْسَ بِفَقِيهٍ. Some possessor of knowledge, they have not understanding of what they have learnt. So sometimes you hear something, you have the knowledge, but you don't comprehensively understand it. The same message you give it to any other scholar, to any other knowledge who is more knowledgeable than you, he can explain it to you further. So the point which you are missing, the other person can explain it to you. So فَرُبَّ حَامِلِ فِقْهٍ لَيْسَ بِفَقِيهٍ. And in some ahadith says, حَامِلِ فِقْهٍ لَيْسَ بِفَقِيهٍ. And in some ahadith they say, they take it to some other knowledgeable person. So this is the message, the first part, the message of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that whenever you hear something from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you have to understand it, you have to memorize it, and the most important part which is mentioned here, that you have to convey it to others. So sometimes you might be thinking is a ordinary message, but when you convey it to some other person, it might resolve the problem of this person. It might be the cure of this person. It might be the solution of this person. It's many times happened. For you something is very common, but for other person is very important. You know, I can tell you the example, the lost key. For you is only key, but for the owner of the key, the one who possesses it, is everything related to it. My car is at home, I lost it, someone got it. For someone is key, very simple thing, but he can't utilize it. Useless, there is no car. But the other person who is the owner of the car, you can understand the use of the key between these two people, the one who just only got key and the other person who have the car for it. One who just got the lost key, and the other person who is the owner of it and who is using to open the house, open the door, open the office. So the same way, sometimes something is not very important for you. Sometimes looks even very irrelevant. But when you convey it to other, you resolve the problem. You become Masiha for someone. So this is the importance of knowledge. That when you got something, and especially the knowledge of the Prophet, the hadith of the Prophet, the message of the Prophet, convey it to others. There was one writer mentioned that in Philippines, one person accepted Islam. And this one person who accepted Islam, for them was this one person, Filipino, who accepted Islam. And he said, I was shocked when I find out afterwards The one single person who accepted Islam become the cause of 4,000 other people in the same area, in his relatives, in his family members, those who accepted Islam. So for me was one single person, but in reality this single person reverted 4,000, more or less 4,000 people to Islam. It's not written here what quality you have. You can't judge people by their dress, by their color, by their size. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted different peoples different qualities. Some have very beautiful speaking power. Some have convincing power. It's different qualities different people have. So whatever good you have, share it with others. And especially if it comes to the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We don't have time even to listen one hadith, let alone conveying to others. So, فَرُبَّ حَامِلِ فِقْهٍ لَيْسَ بِفَقِيهٍ. Some people, they have the knowledge but they don't understand it. If the same people, in other hadiths, if the same person conveyed to someone else, it might become more beneficial. So this was one message. And the second message, سَلَاسٌ لَا يَغُلُّ عَلَيْهِنَّ قَلْبُ امْرِئٍ. There are three things in which the heart of believers does not betray. Does not betray, the ulama mentioned two things. That if you have these three qualities, your heart will be pure from betrayal. And some says that if your heart will be free from betrayal. And some says, La yaghullu ma'na, that your heart, if you are a true believer, in these three things will never accept any betrayal. Will not be easy to convince yourself to betray in these three things. But the other says, when you have these qualities, and salasu khisalin, if you have these three qualities, your heart will be safe from any betrayal. And in yughillu or of yaghillu, there are two meanings. One is al-khayana with the dhamma. Khayana means betrayal. And with fatha, huwa hate and dislike, al-haqd. So both meanings applies here, whether it is with the dhamma or whether it is a fatha, whether it is khayana, betrayal, or whether it is al-haq, which is hate and dislike. And which are these three things which is mentioned? The first one, ikhlasul amali lillahi ta'ala. The first thing and the most important thing, that you should be sincere in any action you are doing, and this sincerity you show to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never ever do any action for the sake of others. Always do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is very important message, especially those who are doing public service, charity, social workers. The biggest shaitan all the time in your heart. When you do something good, the shaitan make you looking here and there. Is anybody observing me or not? Have anybody seen me or not? How many people praising me? How many? And you know the sign that how proud you are and arrogant you are of your action. One very easy sign. There are different signs, but these are those who practically gone through this process. If anyone criticize you, if you just get angry and just like a fire, it means there is something wrong in your heart. Because you are not ready to listen anything. You are looking for praise. You are looking for appreciation. You are looking for someone just to say, wow, how much. So your expectation is on heavens, and someone just suddenly say, oh, you should do it this way, you should do it. That's why it is very easy to analyze yourself when you are doing these things, that what is the level of your heart. If any minor critics make you very angry, very upset, and you start hating this person, why? Why he is not praising me? I am doing so many good things. It means something wrong in your heart. You shouldn't concentrate on the person. Some people, there are always criticizing, is character of critics. I'm not talking about the ordinary people. But if even you do something perfectly, but the other person, rather than praising you, mention any mistake, any weakness or any correction, still you are very calm, still you are listening, still you are thinking, yes, this is a good idea. It means your heart is free from this bimari. Al-ikhlasu lillah. The second thing, is mentioned in this hadith. وَالْمَنَاصِحَةُ لِأَئِمَّةِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. The manasiha to a'immatul muslimin, to rulers, means you have to do nasiha to the rulers. And the nasiha to the rulers, the ulama explained it in very detail. One is nasiha, whatever good they do, or they make a rule for you, you have to follow it. You should not create always fitna in the society. Not always making the groups, the troublemakers, all the time agitation. In Pakistan, one politician, he passed away, may Allah reward him Jannah. He was very famous politician, but he was famous in what? He was famous in all the time doing opposition. There was a joke in the country that if you make him the president of the country, sitting on the seat of the presidentship, he will be looking for someone to oppose or to do opposition to someone. If you make him the prime, because his nature was like opposing all the time things. So the whole structure of the whole philosophy is just how to do the opposition of something. So al-manasiha li'aymat al-muslimin, if something happening good, you have to appreciate it. And this applies to your small organization, apply to your small level of working groups. When you are working with someone, this is the highest level mentioned, but it is applied everywhere where people are working together. You should not be always looking for a position, always thinking that I should have two people standing with me separately, two people sitting with me separately, two people, no. Manasihat al-Muslimin, when you are in a framework, you have to try your best that all should be more united. They more should work together, not just are making small groups, two here, two there. If you are making all this grouping in the country, in society, in organization, and even if you are doing it at home, the home will be destroyed. If you try to do this in organization, the organization will be destroyed. If you have the same nature in the country will be destroyed. And the biggest example nowadays, what is happening in Pakistan, exactly you can see. Because we made our nature is always opposing everything. I am not happy whoever comes. I am always looking for someone who is opposing someone. So with this nature always opposition, always negativity, this create. If someone is doing something good, you have to support him. Yes, if someone is doing baghavat to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, openly making halal haram and haram halal, then there are other ahadith that you have to من رأى منكم منكرا فليغير بيده فإن لم يستطع فبلسانه وإن لم يستطع فبقلبه وهو أضعف الإيمان. This is another criteria. But for ordinary thing all the time, for this is one. And the last thing, وَلُزُومُ جَمَاعَتِهِمْ, and always sticking with jama'ah. وَلُزُومُ جَمَاعَةِ فَإِنَّ دُعَاءَهُمْ مُحِيطٌ مِّن وَرَائِهِمْ, because the jama'ah is always surrounded by the dua and the protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here is the importance of jam'iyyat. And again ulama says this, فَإِنَّ دُعَاءَهُمْ مُحِيطٌ مِّن وَرَائِهِمْ has also have two meanings. One is that these group people together, those who are always with the jama'ah, they have under the special protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they are muhit with the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the other meaning, that when you are with the jami'ah, so the whole world is with each other doing dua. You know, like we are in masjid saying, Ya Allah, the ummah of the Prophet, the ummah of the Prophet, the ummatul Muslimah. We are doing dua or not? So always we mention ummah. Every masjid mentioned ummah. Every lady mentioned ummah. Every person mentioned dua in our azkar, in our dua. So because everywhere there is a dua, and you know the tasir of the dua in the bargah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So muhitum min wara'ihim. If you become part of the ummah, if you become part of the jama'ah, so all the ad'iyah from east to west, whether it is white, whether it is black, whether it is African, whether it is Asian, whether it is Arab, whether it is not Arab, you have any relation, you don't have any relation, you speak the same language, wherever they are doing dua, you are becoming entitled to the same dua. So he said, this is the minimum understanding that how you become covered by the rahmah and the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just be the part of Jama'ah. And those who are always want to segregate it, this is my firqa, this is my Jama'at. This is the biggest fitna in Muslim ummah. And this is my final word. These are every single thing which I mentioned. Everyone is in detail, complete separate topic. But in this very short period of time, I just read the hadith and indicated that these things, if you follow it, you will benefit, your children benefit, your society will benefit. All these things related to our life. And if we don't, we will miss the rahmah and the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And especially bear in your mind the last one, luzumu jama'ati. If you see anyone always going for segregation, always going for division, and cutting himself or herself from the ummah, and think that what I am thinking is perfect. This is, sometime why I am telling you in this time of the fitna, wallah, I heard with my, if someone would tell me, I would not believe it. Scholar, so-called scholar, sitting in Pakistan. You know, this is his argument. And he says, so-and-so said that this firqa is batil. Why? Because their kalma is not completed. And he said, if their kalma is not completed, where is your kalma? When you say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, where is this in Quran? Where is this in Quran? This is not in Quran at all. So this is your own fabrication. Look at the ummah of 1400 years and look at this stupid scholar sitting. And he has a good viewership. When I look it down, that see, even these kind of statues and these kind of clones, and we, so many free people, those who are listening to him. To this level the thing comes. He was saying that Ati'ullah wa Ati'ur Rasul. And he said, Ati'ur Rasul means that what Allah said, you have to accept it. This Ati'ur Rasul is only for confirming that what I said about the Quran is fine. There is no such hadith. All these Iranian fitna. Bukhari, Muslim, he said, all these Iranian fitna. He don't know the geography and say whether the Samarkand and Bukhara and all these area, whether it is from Iran or from Central Asia. And he said, all these Irani fitna, they fabricated things on the name of the hadith. It was only Quran, that's it. Living in this time, and they people are making videos, they have their own groups, Luzumul Jama'ah. If you want to save your iman, then be with Jama'ah. The Jama'ah of the Ummah of the Prophet, all together, the majority of the Ummah will never be wrong. Will never go wrong. Segregated people, groups, the name of the thinker and a scholar, they can bring all their rubbish ideas. They were before. There was a group right in the time of Ali al-Murtada, the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. From early childhood, in the custody of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the tarbiyah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But he was declared na'uzubillah kafir by one group. Why? Because he is not acting upon Quran. The group of Khawarij, the group of Mu'tazila, the group of this and that. So it is not something new, always happened. But what was the response? The Ummah with the majority, they will never go wrong. These people will come, they will try to confuse, but the majority of the Ummah, inshallah, as they remain firm before, in the same way they will continue the same journey ila yawmil akhirah. The reason, this is the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inna ad-deena inda Allahi al-Islam. Till day of judgment, the Islam will remain as a deen, the Quran will remain as a final message, and the Khatamun Nabiyyin is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Is only the issue is our iman, whether we are with the mainstream Islam or we are running after these so-called thinkers, today here, today there, and listening their new ideology and just thinking it is very appealing. Always appealing doesn't work. Sometimes you have to be with the mainstream Islam. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.